there.
See, now there you go. Now you're going to have I think in Phoenix there was a problem with a Trump supporter who went out during the Black Lives Matters protest, and he had a "Make America Great" sign, and they attacked him. I mean, stuff like that happens, and the media doesn't. If that was the other way around, it would be, oh my! Can you imagine if a Trump guy beat up a Black Lives Matter?
What's going to happen?
That would
Cleveland?
be insane.
What is going to happen in Cleveland?
Cleveland, where the convention, the Republican convention, is going to be held, and if you want to go, I would say go now. Right? You want to start driving now? We'll go out to Cleveland. I would love to go.
I would actually really like to go.
That would be awesome. If I could, I would.
But I would probably get myself in trouble out there.
It's going to be tough out there, though. I mean, because you're right. There's going to be. I think there's going to be a presence. You're going to have just the fact that Trump is the nominee is going to create a lot of quote unquote controversy. You're going to have people demonstrating outside. A lot of these social justice warriors are going to be out there holding up the Trump Nazi signs and stuff like that. These SJWs.
Can't you at least have to kill one person before you're Hitler? Could you at least have to kill one person before you are called Hitler?
You lose me when you compare Trump to Hitler.
Lose me. I think Hillary Clinton has killed more people than Trump.
I think you're probably right, because she was actually a person who was able to, she was a senator, and I think she voted to go to war in Iraq, right?
She absolutely did vote for war.
So, I mean, she's a warmonger. Tell that to a peace-loving Hillary lover. You can't.
These people don't love peace, though. It's not Trump supporters out there starting these fights.
No.
It's not at all.
It's the liberals. It's the left.
You have to look at it, and it's liberals, and I feel a lot of these people can't even vote, or probably aren't even.
They're not going to show up that day, I don't think.
I don't think they can show up that day.
No.
It's
the Sal Podcast.
The Sal Podcast. So what happened in Dallas?
It was a shooting in Dallas. The gentleman by the name of Micah something or other. I think it was a Black Lives Matter protest, and what's ironic about this is the police were protecting the protesters as they're shouting anti-police slurs, and all of a sudden, I think around 9 o'clock or so, a sniper opened fire on police, and they discovered after searching his apartment that he had a bunch of bomb-making materials, so he intended to do a lot more damage. He had I think he wrote a lot of things on Facebook against the police, so you could have easily found this guy if this guy was going to be somebody who was on a watch list. That certainly would have been justified, I guess.
I'm worried when people will believe what the media says, even when they say they found bomb-making materials. Bomb-making materials can really be anything.
That is true, my friend.
They found Drano under the sink.
That's true. That's like calling somebody a child molester because they're urinating in their backyard and their neighbor has like a 4-year-old and unfortunately happened to be in the backyard while you're in. Not that it happened to me.
Tell me what he had. Don't tell me he had bomb-making materials, because bomb-making materials, I could make thermite with rust and aluminum. That's thermite.
Yes.
That's hot enough to melt steel at my heart.
Yes, and to bring down the World Trade Center. The original one. Well, I don't know if you saw this article on Breitbart. Hillary Clinton blaming whites and cops for the deaths of young black men. See, it's stuff like that.
Whose vote is she going for? She knows the demographic that's not voting for her, and it's heterosexual white men.
She went on CNN on Friday to completely embrace the Democrats' claim that white people and cops must change to help reduce the number of African Americans killed in tense exchanges with cops. How come she didn't mention the fact that in Chicago the weekend before, I think 50 blacks were shot by blacks, and yet you don't have Black Lives Matter, protesting in Chicago?
What's the statistic? Can you pull up some numbers for me? I want to know how many black people represent the prison population.
That's an interesting thing to do, to pulling up numbers. We need if you could shout out, maybe if we can get an intern, preferably somebody 60 and over who's retired and a female. If you get an old 60-year-old lady who wants to come in here, maybe model the fur coat, and she could look stuff up for us. So hold on, let me Google it. Now we're going to look up now how many blacks are in prison right now. Is that what we're going to do?
The percentage of the U.S. population, the percentage of the U.S. prison system demographics.
Okay, by race. There you go.
By race. This is probably.
This is on the fly.
This is on the fly, but this is definitely some DOJ stuff. I don't trust their numbers, but I would like to see this.
And once again, if you are a 60-year-old senior citizen and you're looking to help us, if you love freedom and you love being around guys who talk about, freedom and liberty and non-mainstream type of topics, I guess, how do they get in touch with you, Sal? Tweet me.
You can tweet us at The Sal Cipolla Show, or you can email The Sal Cipolla Show at gmail.com.
And you can find us on YouTube, I believe, too, right?
You can find us on YouTube. Now, the American prison population, this is a very...
37% of non-Hispanic blacks comprise the largest portion of male inmates under state or federal jurisdiction. This is based in 2013. Non-Hispanic whites, 32%, and Hispanics, 22%. White females comprised 49% of the prison population compared to 22% black females. And that's very true. If you watch MSNBC Lockup, and if they ever have the female, I don't know if you've seen these shows, but there's always a lot of white, lesbian-like women in prison. Because if you're a white lesbian, which, by the way, if you're a white lesbian, I think you definitely, prison would be, like, female prison is where you want to be, right?
I mean, I would imagine.
Sorry to offend lesbians, but I'm just saying, I mean, am I right or wrong? That would be the place to be, right?
Like, if you're a gay dude, if you are a gay dude,
jail would be,
It seems like a vacation.
I don't think it's a rape. I'm sure there's prison rape in female prisons and
Probably
stuff.
higher.
You think?
Well,
you don't hear about it that
lesbian
much.
couples,
like you never hear about nuns molesting small boys and stuff. That would
lesbian couples have the highest rate of domestic violence.
Where do you find these tidbits of information, Sal? Did you find that in the closet next to the fur coat?
I found it in the pocket of the fur coat.
That's awesome, man. No, I didn't know that. That's an interesting statistic there.
Largest population.
I did not see. I was once again proven wrong here. This is new stuff. Finding out.
But now, so
tell you now
blacks make up 13% of the U.S. population, yet they're overrepresented in prison.
Well, because they are targeted probably more so than whites for crimes and stuff. I mean, there is definitely...
I don't know. How much...
We've got to find that statistic out.
Well, how about Chicago? I mean, look...
Stop and frisk, stuff like that.
Well, you know what? You kind of have to go... we have to...
You got to go where the numbers are.
Profiling. At the airport, should we be wasting our time checking the old lady, the old white lady?
So if I'm a white guy and I'm in a black, quote-unquote, neighborhood, do the police have the right to pull me over because I'm like a white dude in a black neighborhood? Like, what is he doing here? He must have drugs on him.
I'm glad you brought this up.
Please.
I actually have a story about this.
Tell me. Did it happen to you?
I lived in Newark, New Jersey.
Definitely not a white neighborhood. Not anymore.
Well, it depends on what part of Newark, New Jersey.
And it depends on what year.
There's Portuguese areas, and there's
Italians
nice areas.
Infiltrated the area a long time ago.
No, they fled the
way
area
back
in
when.
the 50s.
Oh, I'm talking about the early 1900s. My
so when I lived there,
family came there.
When I lived there, I lived in this terrible area. It's still terrible. It'll never get better. It's called Upper Clinton Hill.
I know that
South 14th Street.
Sure, okay. That's the hood, dude. What were you doing there? When was this?
I was working in the city. I was broke. I got an apartment there.
You ever hear of Hoboken?
Yeah, but I had a 4-bedroom apartment.
Go ahead.
For $600.
I was going to say, that's a good deal.
And it took me 20 minutes to get to downtown Manhattan from my apartment. It was amazing, and I moved from the Bronx, and I worked.
That's a step up.
Yeah, I worked. No, it really wasn't.
No, was it?
I lived in Riverdale.
Oh no, that was nice. Yeah, the Bronx is nice.
So this was a downgrade, but I was closer to Manhattan. Cops would stop me all the time.
Would they really?
They would try to give me a ticket for something called wandering.
Wandering? Wait, because you were walking home?
Yes.
How'd you get home?
I would take the bus and then I'd walk a few blocks.
Dude, you are a warrior.
No one would mess with me.
No one mess with you.
Everyone thought I was a cop.
Yes.
The only people that messed with me were...
For those of you who don't know what Sal looks like, he's white.
I'm Hispanic.
He's a white... No, I'm sorry. You're Hispanic? Okay.
I'm Colombian, Italian, Irish.
There you go.
I'm mostly
Hispanic.
Hispanic.
Like a mutt. That's cool. That's a good mix.
But I look white.
You do look white.
No one would ever mess with me. And I was talking to a news reporter. They found a dead girl on my doorstep.
Oh my God. Are you kidding?
And I couldn't get into my apartment.
Come on.
So the news was there, and they started interviewing me. I was telling the woman I live here, and she was like, "Oh my God, that's genius. Nobody would mess with you because everybody thinks you're either a probation officer or with Child Protective Services."
Yeah, coming into exactly. So the cops would harass you, huh?
Right, because I didn't act like I belonged in the hood.
Yes.
I wasn't there.
What would they would ask you? Like they would search you at all or no?
I started carrying my lease around with me, and
just to show them.
Show them I live here. And
that must have been hysterical.
Then they would laugh. People would tell me I should move out. The cops would always tell me these sorts of things. I remember when I was getting my cable installed, the the guys installing my cable asked me if I was an undercover cop and
Oh
if we
my
were doing
God.
some sort of sting in the area.
That's hysterical, man. That is hysterical. Did you have neighbors that you would talk to and stuff? Like people, hey, what's up, white boy?
I did. They were awful people.
They were bad.
They were awful people. I remember a lot of black girls tried to sleep with me.
Come on, for real?
Yeah, but
why? Because you're in Newark?
Yeah, and they would walk around the neighborhood drunk. I'd be outside having a cigarette.
Oh, you mean they were like crack whores and stuff?
No, but they were just some
just regular women.
Just regular women. And it's like I really don't feel like getting AIDS.
Oh yeah, because it's probably higher in that neighborhood, you know.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. So so now you used to get harassed a little bit by the police, and it didn't bother you at all. You would just carry.
I thought it was hysterical.
Yeah,
I thought it was. Cops would pull over all the time while I was walking. Like, what are you doing here? Where are you going?
I always try to
start. I once just said, I'm here. What's the problem? I'm allowed to walk around here. Like,
that's the thing.
They told me, no, you're not. And they started to write me a ticket for wandering. And so they start writing the ticket. I give him my ID, and he starts to write down my address. And then I'm like, see, I live right there.
That's crazy. That
I'm
is
not
crazy.
wandering.
I didn't know there was a thing called wandering.
In that town, there is.
Yeah.
In that city, there is.
Amazing. Mm-hmm. Amazing. So I think if it happens to you often enough, maybe you do carry that chip on your shoulder, and if it happens to people that you know, your friends and stuff, And,
but it makes sense. I'm for stop and frisk.
Yeah.
I'm for it when you're doing it right. I'm for profiling. Profiling works. The FBI uses profiling.
Of course.
It's a valuable tool, and it saves time and money. And I wish we would profile at the airport.
Well, with TSA and frisking and stuff.
Your name has too many syllables or vowels in it.
I don't know how they're going to profile. Maybe not like that way and stuff. But
I would.
But let's be honest. I mean, my grandmother, who's 85 years old, is not going to be carrying a bomb on the plane.
Not a lot of Salvatore Cipollas that are homegrown domestic terrorists.
Exactly. And I think the Israelis do that, don't they? They're one of the only, I think, countries that profiles, in terms of that. Right? They're hardcore.
I don't even think you're allowed to go in there with if you have a stamp.
They ask serious questions too, right?
They do.
Yeah.
And I've even heard people tell me when they were in there, the Israeli, because it's the military, ask them questions such as, do you accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior? Test if they were Christians. They didn't even want Christians in there, I think.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Now, as far as the TSA is concerned, that whole security theater. They're actually expanding their reach now. I think they're starting to search cars, at the, in the parking areas now.
They're putting them at sporting events.
Yeah.
TSA was at.
They were the Kentucky Derby.
They were at the Kentucky Derby.
I believe so. I think it was last year. So. That's more government overreach, I guess. I don't know. It's just to me, waiting online and take my shoes off and to have my bag searched. I mean, it seems like security theater because does it really? I don't think they've ever stopped anybody and stopped a terrorist incident from happening.
No. Even the only ones that have ever been stopped were ones put on by the CIA themselves.
You're talking about
the underwear bomber.
Yeah, he was actually helped on. And actually there was a witness to that, I believe, and the man was dressed apparently very, had a suit on, and he helped the guy get on, and
he was very sedated.
Yeah, these patsies, government patsies, you get these people who can, you manipulate them a little bit, you pay them a little money, and they're, willing to do almost anything.
You have the FBI thwarting their own terror plots.
That's what happens. But, it is what it is. Spreaker.com.
Spreaker.
Is where you can find the Sal Cipolla podcast. As we do this once a week, we bring you liberty, freedom, and topics that you don't normally talk about or hear on mainstream media, I believe.
This week has been so depressing. I want to lighten it up a little bit.
Yeah, what do you got, man? What do you got? Any dating tips?
Oh, I don't have any dating tips.
You don't have any dating tips?
No, I can tell you that dating for me sucks.
What is it like dating in I've been out of the dating scene for a long time, to be honest with you folks. It's been a while.
I don't date anymore. I just pick up bar skanks.
Oh, see now. But what do you mean, like scraps at the bar? You wait till at the end of the night when they're ready to go home. You try to.
Oh, that was.
They're ready to leave, and you might be around for a little. Yeah.
Oh man.
What do you got? A good story for me? Yeah?
So last week.
Yeah.
I was really drunk, and I left my friend's house, and then I decided I was going to go home. It was in Long Beach, and I ended up going up to the pizza place, go get a slice of pizza, ended up seeing this girl, not very attractive, but I was like, I'm drunk, I don't feel like going home alone, so I start talking to her, And I asked her how her Mario Kart skills were, and she's like, "I love
Mario Kart?
Mario Kart,
The video game.
Yeah, the video game." So I was like, "Yeah, you want to go play some Mario Kart?" So yeah,
Great first date.
So we jump in an Uber, right? We go back to my house, and she blows me. Right?
Nice.
And then she's like, "Are you going to do me?" And I was, "No."
Oh, okay, there you
I
go.
pass out. I
Did
wake
you
up.
really?
She's gone. Amazing. This is